And hello YouTube, this is Thomas Judge, back once again with another new YouTube segment, and in this case it's about the Valiant Comics Deluxe Edition range of hardcovers. Today's video is going to focus exclusively on which modern Valiant comics have not been released as deluxe editions and are probably never going to be released as deluxe editions. Yes, you heard that right, there are gaps in the Valiant Deluxe Edition lineup. Now, when I first got into Valiant, I was, for some reason, under the impression that the Deluxe Edition collections were comprehensively printing every single Valiant line. I mean, look at them here. They look amazing on the shelf. They look really comprehensive. They're made by fans and for fans. And I don't think I'm alone in having that impression either. Valiant has a very strong reputation as a great collected editions line. Yes, I expect a little bit of double dipping, and there is a little bit of double dipping, but I never expected large gaps. And gaps are what I found. So today's video is actually the main reason that I decided to set up this YouTube channel and doing this particular video series at all. This is to provide the sort of information that no one else had really provided, and I found out as I was going along, and I would really love to share it with you guys here. So for today's video, what I'm going to be using is this reading map here. So what you can see here is the reading map that I showed in video 2, which is made by someone called Kelvin Degrees on Reddit, and as ever I take no credit for this map, and I am going to include a link to it from the creator's Imager page in the description below. However, I am going to use it to highlight via red boxes that I've added myself but aren't on the official map. I'm going to use it to highlight which comic lines have not been collected in deluxe format. Now, just as I zoom in, I'm just going to point out one thing. There is one disclaimer I want to make. And this disclaimer is the reason why I generally prefer to map closed comic universes rather than ongoing ones. For this video, I am going to be talking about issues released prior to this line, prior to 2018. And these are all issues that I'm going to refer to as being potentially orphaned or potentially uncollected. The reason for that is that stuff below this line, so this part of the map here, most of these form part of ongoing arcs or series that may yet be collected in the future. However, I feel reasonably confident that given things like Britannia and Imperium and even Harbinger Wars have all seen recent or imminent deluxe edition releases, I feel reasonably confident that having the rule of thumb of saying everything sort of prior to this, prior to 2018, hasn't and isn't going to be collected. I think that's a reasonable assumption to make. So I'm going to be discussing series that are as yet uncollected and have a good chance of being collected in the future in the last video in the series, in video 6, which is about the future of this range. But for today, what I'm going to be talking about are the missing issues. And if you're doing a read through the way I was planning on doing a read through, by reading the deluxe editions only, this is where the gaps are. So with no further ado, here is the Valiant reading map created by Kelvin Degrees. I'll just zoom out so you can see all of it, and I will include a link to that in the description below. Now, today I'm going to be zooming in quite a lot on the map. I know that for video 2, some people weren't happy about the fact I wasn't zooming in loads of detail. I didn't go through it exhaustively. I don't feel I should do that because it's not my map. I shouldn't take the credit for it. However, I am going to zoom in a lot more, so you're going to see things a lot more clearly today, and that's because I'm going to actually zoom in on very specific series and issues rather than the broad and thematic overview which was in video 2. So let's start at the top. If we go here, what we have is the 2012 Valiant relaunch, and everything here, X-Men Manowar, Harbinger, Bloodshot, Archer and Armstrong and Shadowman have all been collected. So it's only when we get to 2013 we have the first stuff that hasn't been collected. So you'll see here we have Eternal Warrior issues 1 to 8. Now you're probably thinking, hang on Thomas, there is an Eternal Warrior Deluxe Edition. There's not. You're wrong, unfortunately, because if we follow this line down, we'll see that what we have is Wrath of the Eternal Warrior, and there is a Wrath of the Eternal Warrior Deluxe Edition that collects all these issues here. But what a lot of people don't realise, what I personally didn't realise, is that there's a prefacing series just called Eternal Warrior here. Now, this was an 8-issue miniseries released in 2013. It was written by Greg Pak, and it's available as trade paperbacks, which will be a theme you'll hear throughout this video. And there's 2 trade paperbacks. One's called Sword of the Wild, and the second one's called Eternal Emperor. If you haven't got the trade paperbacks and you've just got deluxes, you're going to have to pick up these issues as singles or as trades. You'll notice a line comes out of that, and that actually takes us to another series which hasn't been collected, which you'll see here as Eternal Warrior Days of Steel 1, 2 and 3. It's a 3-issue miniseries, came out in 2015. You can still pick it up as a trade paperback. Staying over here, you'll see we've got, if I just zoom out a bit, what Kelvin Degrees has put as an event in a box, which is the Book of Death. And you'll see that whilst part of this here is in a lighter orange, some of it is in a darker brown, and that stuff in the darker brown, I've actually put a box around. That stuff isn't collected. So, Book of the Dead, Legends of the Geomancer, it's 4 series, like you can see here, 4 series. I'll just zoom out a little bit. And it was an exclusive limited series published in 2015. It was written by Fred Valiant, and it's a tie-in mini-series to the Book of Death crossover event. It follows the life of Annie, a young tribal woman, and how she became the very first geomancer. Now, it's a bit of a weird history behind this. Each issue was only made available as a retailer incentive based on a preset ratio of orders for the corresponding books of the actual Book of Death miniseries. So in other words, if a retailer ordered 25 copies of Book of Death issue 1, they got 1 issue of Legends of the Geomancer issue 1 to sell. That ratio changed for subsequent issues to 1 copy per 10 orders. So in other words, if they ordered 20 copies of Book of Death issue 3, they got 2 copies of Legends of the Geomancer issue 3. I know that's a bit confusing, but really what it highlights is that this story was distributed in this exclusive way that caused a fair bit of controversy, especially because the publisher said they would never reprint this story again. And they haven't. It hasn't been reprinted as trade paperback, and it wasn't collected in the deluxe edition either. So if you want to read the full story, you're going to have to track that down. I don't know how to track that down. The prices on eBay are scandalous, but it's something I'm going to have to do. So that's the Book of Death there. And you'll notice here I've got something called Dead Drop. So Dead Drop is a 4-issue miniseries which is actually linked to Exo Manowar. But it wasn't collected in any of the Exo Manowar stuff. So Exo Manowar's over here, and yet Dead Drop's over here, and it was totally uncollected. You can pick it up as a trade paperback, but trade paperback only. So let's have a look. If we just keep on going down the map, let's get to the Faith stuff. So Faith starts up here. There was a 2016 4-issue series, which is collected actually twice. We talk about it in my Double Dips video. And then there's another second series which goes here, and the first 8 issues are collected as deluxes. However, issues 9 to 12 are not. Nor is an issue called Faith the Warped Tour, and nor is an issue called Faith Winter Wonderland, which you can see down here. So those things just aren't collected as deluxe editions. It's a bit of a pain, really. It means these issues have all been orphaned. They are available in a trade paperback called Volume 4, The Faithless. But I don't know if they're ever going to be collected as a deluxe. So you'll see here as well, just following from that series, you've got a 4-issue series called Faith and the Future Force. That features Faith and a time traveller called Neil Assetti. Not only is it a follow-up to Faith, it's also a follow-up to Fred Van Lente's Ivar Time Walker, which obviously has been collected as a deluxe edition. So it's a bit odd that it hasn't actually formed, that this big red box here I'm just highlighting hasn't formed its own deluxe edition. It is a bit slim, it's only 8 issues, but it really feels to me that that's kind of a missed trick there. But hey, fingers crossed, maybe it'll get released. Personally, I don't think it will, and the reason I don't think it will is that stuff like this, Harbinger Wars 2, which actually started after Faith finished, has actually been solicited and is coming out in a few months, and yet this hasn't even been solicited. So frankly, I feel these are orphaned issues. Sorry guys, I'm in the same position as you. It's very annoying. Let's go back up here then. So you see this green set of boxes here, that's Generation Zero. It's a limited series, it's a spin-off from Harbinger Wars. It features several of the characters introduced in that story, and is written by Fred Van Lente. It concludes after only 9 issues, and the story of the Generation Zero team is continued and effectively concluded in Harbinger Renegade, which we'll talk about in a second. Now, Generation Zero is available in 2 trade paperbacks, but not in deluxe edition, so you're going to have to track those down again. Speaking of Harbinger Renegade, we've got it here. So this follows the Harbinger characters and events from Harbinger as well as Imperium. These issues for Harbinger Renegade are available as 2 trade paperbacks, but not as a deluxe edition. So again, if you're collecting deluxe editions, you've got a gap there. Let's pan out a bit. What should we look at next? Oh, if we go to the right of the map, I say that because I hope you're following along at home with your own map. You've got War Mother. So War Mother, issues 1 to 4. It's a 4-issue miniseries featuring the War Mother. It's set in the 41st century of the Valiant universe and is a follow-up to the one-shot 4001 AD War Mother, which you'll see here, obviously. It's available as a trade paperback, but that's it. In terms of getting a deluxe edition of that, I honestly don't know how that would work because there's nothing else that would really be collected with it, and a 4-issue deluxe edition would be really slim. It's not without precedent. We do have one for the Valiant, we do have one for Secret Weapons, but it's just unlikely. And you'll notice over here to the side, I've just put Rye, the History of the Valiant Universe in a red box by itself. That's a single issue. I don't think it's collected in deluxe editions. I think it's just another orphaned issue, but if I'm wrong, please let me know, because I don't know everything, and I haven't actually read a lot of the Valiant comics, so a lot of this is just my own investigation work. What else should we look at? Well, you'll see here, just under Divinity, there's this series of 4, which is called Eternity. It continues the story of Divinity from the previous miniseries, Divinities 1, 2 and 3. And it's available as its own trade paperback. But again, unless they're going to have an Eternity 2 or an Eternity 3, I don't see them having this as a deluxe edition, which is pretty frustrating. Okay, what else do we have left? Over here on the right, we have Rapture, a 4-issue series. Written by Matt Kint. It's a continuation of something called Operation Deadside. That is an arc that was published in Ninjak and follows Geomancer, Ninjak, Punk Mambo and Shadow Man on an adventure to the Deadside. Again, it's available as a trade paperback, and again, I don't know how and if that will be collected as a deluxe edition. Maybe they'll continue it as having it part of the Shadow Man deluxe editions, and maybe if they collect these purple Shadow Man issues down here, which I'm not going to talk about today, maybe Rapture will be part of that. But I don't know if that's likely or not, to be honest. It's a matter of just keeping our fingers crossed. So what else do we have? We've covered Rapture, we've covered War Mother, Rye, Eternity. Now, like I said, I'm not going to cover the stuff down here because this all came out in 2018, and I think all these things here are going to be collected, fingers crossed. So what else do we have that we need to talk about? Well, the last one on this map up here is Savage. It's a standalone limited series. It's available as a trade paperback. I think it's not going to be collected as deluxe edition. Maybe it's not any good. I don't know. I haven't read it. I still need to track it down myself. Alright, guys. So hopefully that helped. That's everything which I would consider to be orphan stuff. Obviously, the further back you go, the more definitively these are orphaned from the deluxe collections. So Eternal Warrior, we are never getting a deluxe edition of that. And over here, the Legend of the Geomancer, we almost certainly never getting a deluxe edition. Dead Drop is a lost deluxe edition. Aha, yes, before I forget, Unity. So Unity, this is really irritating, guys. There's a deluxe edition for Unity, which covers, if I just pan out, it covers everything from issue 1 all the way down to issue 14. And then issue 25 is collected in the second Quantum and Woody Deluxe edition. It's like a big anthology issue, it's not a big deal. But here we've got issues 15 to 24, which are totally orphaned. Now the frustrating thing is the Unity Deluxe Edition hardcover has a 1 on the spine, but I think we're at the point, given it's been about 4.5 years since these issues were released as single issues, I think we're now past the point where we can realistically think that they're going to get released. That's really irritating. So in terms of that, let me see. There are 3 deluxe editions, 3 trade paperbacks for Unity that are available. I'll just check the names now. Let's see. I don't have the names here, unfortunately, but there are 3 trade paperbacks available, and I'd recommend checking those out. Okay, with that out of the way, I just want to bring your attention to the map as a whole again. Like I say, it's made by someone called Calvin Degrees. I've put red boxes here on this particular version, but if you go to the Imager website, you'll have a nice clean version without those red boxes that you can download and have a look at. And I'll stick that link in the description below as always. So with the stuff on the map out of the way, I just want to bring your attention to 2 series that understandably aren't on the map. The first one is here. This is Ninjak versus the Valiant universe. It's an out-of-continuity story and is used for a web series produced by Bat in the Sun Productions and Valiant Digital, as well as the comic book adaptation published by Valiant itself. This is related to Valiant's eventual sale to DMG Entertainment, which I'll discuss in video 6. The next thing I want to discuss is here. This is Valiant High. It's a limited series first published as a Comixology digital exclusive in 2017, but a print version was released the next year. It's a non-canon series, so not in continuity, involving the characters of the Valiant universe, but they're all written as teenagers all going to the same high school. So it sounds quite humorous and light-hearted. It looks fun, but it's definitely not going to be collected as a deluxe edition. And there we have it, guys. Those are all the Orphan and Uncollected issues. Like I say, this video is the reason I actually decided to start doing this Valiant Deluxe Edition walkthrough, because no one else had sort of done something like this, pointing out what's missing from the Deluxe Edition range. And like a fool, like a young, naive, optimistic comic collector, I bought all the Deluxe Editions and I thought that covered everything. I didn't realise there were gaps until I started diving into it. Hopefully you guys found this useful. So what does all this mean? Well, for most people like you out there in internet land, it means that you either need to track down the single issues and trade paperbacks to read, be that physically or online, or you just need to come to terms with the fact that your Valiant collection is incomplete. And I know, that sucks. However, for me, those of you familiar with my channel will know that one thing that I do quite often are custom binds of my comics. I don't like compromising with the mistakes that publishing companies might make. So that may well be a route I go down, but even then, I know what you're thinking. Custom binding comics will only lead to them being regular sized, not deluxe sized. Well, you're wrong. For those of you that watch my channel regularly, you'll know that I don't let that stop me. I may well, and it depends on being able to track all these issues down, especially the Geomancer ones. I may well make some custom printed Valiant Deluxe Editions myself to plug these gaps. That's a complex process that involves having the physical versions, slicing them, scanning them, digitally manipulating them, and then eventually making a print-ready file for a binder to print and produce. If you want to know what I'm talking about, I'll add a link to the start of my tutorial series on that below in the description, and you might find some of my other videos about custom binds quite interesting on my channel. I'm currently also in the middle of doing a series about how to custom design dust jackets. And I think, to be honest, if I am going to dive into doing that with my Valiant Deluxe Editions, I'll probably start with Unity, because that seems quite straightforward. There's about 10 or 11 orphaned issues. That seems like a decent Deluxe Edition size. Why not give it a try? So thanks for watching, guys. As always, please like, comment, subscribe. Please let me know what you think of this Valiant Deluxe Edition overview, and especially what you think about today's video. What do you think about Valiant's weird choice to omit collecting certain issues in their deluxe range? Does it bother you? Do you care? Or are you going to start following in my footsteps and start making your own custom comics? As always, please let me know if you have any questions or any queries. Just drop them in the comments below, or feel free to tweet me at @IamThomasJudge. And as always, please support the channel by heading over to Amazon and picking up the first volume of my episodic prose novel about superheroes. It's called No Gods or Kings, and it's available for less than $1. If you have Kindle Unlimited, it's actually completely free, but I still really appreciate it if you download it, read it, and review it. It's a story set in a world much like our own, but where superpowers are real. And I've got a link to the Amazon page and the official website in the description below. Until next time, guys, stay classy.